Hello everyone, I am Pipatch, and welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always. We are... Click. Wait, what? Did I not finish? Did I not save? Well, apparently... Cool, apparently I didn't save. Let me just power through this real quick then. Okay, we're back. I guess I mustn't have saved it accidentally, whoops. I'm pretty sure I went through and chose all the same stuff, so hopefully that won't impact anything. But yeah, we're moving on to the very, very last one, Drive now, which is very exciting. Also, I think there might actually be a step 4 that was released, which is wild. I think I'm going to finish up Step 3 and give that a rest for a while. If people are interested in seeing more, let me know. Otherwise, I'll give it a bit of a rest, because there are other games that I want to play as much as I've loved this, and I'm sure I'll probably get around to it at some point. But yeah, for now, let's move on with Drive. Like a lazy cat, you stretched your arms above your head and yawned, blinking your eyes sleepily. The day was warm and pleasant, and you were lounging on the couch in the living room, finding it difficult to do much in that moment. Your mums and Liz had gone out shopping, looking for some new items for your sister to take back and decorate her college dorm with. They had asked if you wanted to go with them, but you declined. For you, today was all about relaxation. Cove had dropped by to spend some time with you, content to join in with doing nothing. Well, the two of you had been chatting idly as you laced around, talking about the other things you had planned for the summer. You were sitting next to him. He sat on one couch where you sat on your own. He sat on one couch where you were fully stretched out on the chair. You were stretched out across him as you sat on the couch. We're probably sitting next to each other. His arm was resting along the back of the couch and his long legs were stretched out in front, totally at ease. The day dragged on, and you found yourself yawning more and more often between conversations. Nap time! You had almost dozed off completely when suddenly a buzz rang out, disturbing the silence. Hey dude, how's it going? Your phone was on its charger in the kitchen, so it couldn't have been that. Cove pulled his own phone from his back pocket and checked the screen. His movement had jostled you, so you tried to readjust your position to get it right again. It's my mum. Oh, cool. Cove waved his phone in the air, giving you a small smile. I'm gonna take this, I'll be right back. You made a small noise. Why do you have to leave for that? No, that's fine, sure. Okay, it's your mum, can't I hear it? Sure, yeah, no, that's all good. You gave him a light nod of the head. He got to his feet and stretched out, answering the call and holding the phone to his ear as he headed off. Hey mum, what's up? Tell her I said hi, don't keep me waiting long, you blew him a kiss, you were good. Tell her I said hi! He turned to give you a nod, smiling as he walked backwards towards the door. The lock clicked behind him as he exited the house, and you sank back onto the cushions, idly trying to decide what to do next. After electing to grab your own phone from its charger, you resumed your position on the couch, tapping away at the screen. Your mind drifted away from thoughts of Cove and his phone call with all the many ways your device could distract you. It was an effective enough way to kill the time, and you had managed to do various little things when the door opened again and Cove returned. He gave you a smile as he approached. You figured the conversation couldn't have gone too bad. You watched as Cove strolled over to where you were still sitting. He crossed his arms across the top of the couch, resting on them while bending forward to lightly kiss the top of your head. Aww. I'm back. Yes, I can tell. You gazed up at him fondly. You put a hand over his. You stretched up to hold his face. You tilted your head and gave him a small kiss. Aww. Yeah, let's just look at him nicely. So, good or bad news? He turned his head suddenly, okay, not good then, I guess, running a hand through his hair and letting out an exasperated breath. He seemed nervous, but you couldn't imagine why. It's fine, nothing to worry about. You raised an eyebrow at his tone, moving your head to the side to try and meet his eye. That doesn't explain what's going on. He shrugged and gave you a tight smile, trying to play whatever it actually was off as unimportant. There's nothing going on, just stuff I can deal with later, some other time. He was transparently avoiding the truth, and you stared back at him seriously, an indication that you weren't going to ignore what he was doing. Eventually he broke beneath your stare, hanging his head in his hands and groaning. I need to make another trip to Mum's place. There's some stuff out there that I'm going to use, so I'll have to go pick it up. It wouldn't make sense to ship it, and I couldn't bring the stuff back with me last time since I flew. Oh. Suddenly you understood what the phone conversation had been about. Kyra was going to drive to his mum's house in Nevada. When will you go? Mum thinks it'd be best to do it now, while I'm still kind of free, but... Kyra pouted, giving you an unhappy look. I have no concept of how far apart places in America are. Is that like a 2-hour drive, or is that like 3 days? I don't know. Cove pouted, giving an unhappy look, and you could see the prospect was already taking a toll on him. I don't even remember where we are. I don't want to. I was just there, and for even longer than usual. Why do I have to leave right now, when it's our last summer like this? You laughed, not knowing why he was being so difficult about it. No, it's okay, I understand. You thought it was cute, he wanted to stay. You can hack it. I don't want you to go either. You shook your head affectionately. Yeah, sure. He was always dramatic. Looking up again, you met his bright aquamarine eyes, finding a sad smile tugging at his lips. Oh. Suddenly his eyebrows jumped and his eyes lit up like a lamp. You could come with me. What? You should come with me. I mean, I get that the two of us live next door to each other, and my mum lives in another state. My trips are usually to spend time with her, just the two of us. But this time it won't be like that. All I'm going to do is drive over, stay for a night, then pack up the car in the morning and turn around again. Most of the time will be spent in the car, so it'd be good to have another person there. Plus, you'd have the chance to see my mum again, and her place. Maybe we could even find something cool to break at on the way. Oh, have a break. Okay, I understand. You couldn't stop yourself from laughing at his enthusiasm. He blushed a little, reining himself in. It's so nice how much more, like, enthusiastic and stuff he is from when he was a kid. It's sweet. I just feel like it could be fun. Please? Could you think about it? I'd love to. When do we leave? I'll have to let my mums know, but as long as we've got nothing else important on the days we pick, there's no reason I wouldn't be able to go. He grinned from ear to ear, thrilled by the news. Road trip, road trip. He put both his hands on your cheeks, kissing your face all over. Oh. Then he wrapped his arms around your neck, letting out a happy sigh. I'm so glad. This is so great. I'll call my mum back and let her know right now. You spent some time together going over your schedules and making plans for when you could take the trip. You needed to fit it around both of your work schedules, which took a bit of doing, but came together in the end. Luckily, it was only a 2-day trip. Okay, that's not too bad. So finding a couple free days in a row wasn't impossible. It wasn't long before the dates were finally set and all the plans were made. You were excited for the trip. You were content with the plans. You were nervous. You were feeling unsure. Yeah, no, hell yeah, it's gonna be great. Let's go. Wait, water break. Everyone take a water sip, please. Hydration. It is important, especially when I'm talking for over an hour. Okay. You're excited for the trip? Hell yeah, baby. A short trip sounded like the perfect way to spend some time. You could listen to music, eat snacks, and enjoy the open road. Hell yeah, pop on a good podcast? Heck yeah, dude. No matter what you thought about things, the morning when you were due to leave arrived. It was cooler than usual, the sun barely peeking over the tops of the houses. You stood outside your house on the footpath near the road, waiting for Cove. You were feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep and an early wake-up. With your travel bag clutched in one hand, you watched as Cove finished packing up his car. He had organised all sorts of things, water bottles, snacks, and who knows what else. He insisted he had everything under control and didn't need help. At least you could rest easy, knowing that it was all taken care of. As you waited, you glanced over at Cove's car. You knew it well. It used to belong to Mr. Holden, and when Cove had learned to drive, it passed to him. His dad had taken the opportunity to get a newer one. It was pretty old at this point, but had served both of them well so far. You just hoped it had enough life left in it to survive a trip as long as the one you were embarking on. The slam of a door closing made you jump. You snapped back to focus and saw Cove was walking towards you. He dusted his hands off on his pants and tilted his head towards the car. "That's it. Ready to go?" "Yeah, I'm ready." He smiled and stepped aside, giving you space to situate your own bag where you wanted it. Once everything was safely inside, he glanced back at you. "We should get started. It's going to be a ways to go." Woo! Gave him a high five. You hugged him. Hell yeah, high five, baby. He returned it happily, chuckling at your enthusiasm. "Let's do this. What kind of music do you have ready? Did you make a playlist?" "I'd make a playlist." The two of you climbed into the car and buckled up. Cove in the driver's seat and you sitting shotgun. His eyes moved to you. "Thanks again for coming on this trip with me." "Hey, I'm doing this for me too. It'll be fun." After checking the mirrors and starting the engine, you pulled out of the driveway and the trip began. With a small sigh, you got cozy in your seat and watched the familiar houses in your neighborhood pass by. Cove reached over to turn on the radio. A crackle of static mixed with the odd snippets of a song filled the car as he flipped through the stations. Mr. Holden's car was in good condition, but it was, well, older. There was no way to plug in a phone to play music, so the radio had to do. God, what a nightmare. So there's got to be like a CD player, right? What do you mean it's so old? Look at that. It's got a... Oh, I guess that could just be like a... No, that's a full screen. What are you talking about? It doesn't even have crank windows. It's got the proper ones. Pfft. Pish posh. Eventually, he set it on Hell yeah, baby, hell yeah. Eventually, he set it on classic rock station before sitting back and resting both hands on the wheel. "Is this okay?" "Yes." "Yeah, you know what I like." I don't even need to read the other options. He smiled, happy with the answer. Time flew by, and with it, the scenery outside your window became more and more unfamiliar. Neither of you spoke for a good long while, but the quiet was comfortable. You'd become all too used to each other's company over the years. Oh, that's so sweet. Eventually, Cove broke the silence, clearing his throat softly before he spoke. "It's been too long since you and I have spent time with my mum. I know she still comes to the neighborhood sometimes, but it's not even once a year. I'm always going to hers. I'm happy the two of us are doing this." "Yeah, me too." Your elbow rested on the windowsill. You gazed out at a world that was slowly coming to life as the morning rolled by. The sun climbed higher in the sky. Luckily, the sunbeams weren't going right in your eyes. "Hey, do you mind reaching back for me?" Cove gave you a sidelong glance as he drove, indicating with a nod of his head and a tiny smile. "I want some chips, the salt and vinegar ones." "Hell yeah. Yeah. I don't know." Oh, I thought it said I don't know how to eat that. Like chicken flavor, barbecue, I could do fine, but I just don't understand how to physically eat salt and vinegar chips. That's a great flavor. I love salt and vinegar. Right? Eat whatever you want to. I brought a bunch of everything. Heck yeah. Been really liking this popcorn I can get that's like slightly sweet. It's good. It's good stuff. Stretching out the seatbelt to give yourself space. Oh my god, I think I've got some in the cupboard actually. That's going to sound terrible. I can wait until after. Stretching out the seatbelt to give yourself space, you twisted in your spot and reached into the bag holding the snacks. It took a bit of effort to sort through the collection of goodies stuffed inside, but eventually the bag of chips crinkled beneath your fingers as you pulled them out and sat back in your seat. "Here." "Thanks. Do you mind opening it?" His eyes lit up at the prospects of the snacks, and he shook your head in amusement, popping the top of the bag. You poured a few chips into his hand. You held the bag open towards him. "I'm not feeding them to you, respectfully. I am too awkward." You poured a few chips into his hand. Yes, that's probably the safest option. Cove held out one outstretched hand while trying to resist the urge to look at what he was getting. You did your best to have the chips fall into his palm, but some did end up on the floor, as they would. Thanks." After that, you rolled over the top of the bag and so that you're not going to have any... Ugh, disgusting. So the chips lay safely away in the back again. When you turned to the front, it was to find Cove crushing the fistful of chips into his mouth. Wait, do you mean you're like crushing them in your hand and like pouring the powder into your mouth? Because I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. You really don't know how to eat chips. He wiped his hand on his pants absentmindedly before gripping the wheel and spilling crumbs all over the place. You're like a little kid. You laughed at that. How can you eat that much at once? I'm impressed. You had no reaction. I laugh. You couldn't stop the amused sound that escaped you, and when Cove raised a questioning eyebrow, you simply shook your head. The hours drifted by much the same way as that, with the two of you snacking and chatting as the day stretched on. It was fairly calm and quiet, travelling along the open road, and you found little in the way of interruptions. At one point you passed a "Welcome to Nevada" sign, and Cove gave a tiny cheer. He was in disbelief that the two of you were seriously all the way in another state like this. Eventually, you had to stop for gas and made a detour at a small diner to grab a proper meal that didn't consist of chips and candy. Candy. Oh, we don't get to see the diner? That's okay. I like the idea of diners. I've never been to one. They seem so cool. Like burgers and milkshakes and so cool. And like the little booths. Wow, nice. And a jukebox. Oh, wow. After fueling both the car and your stomachs, the drive was back on. Just as the sun began dipping beneath the horizon and bathing the sky in a wash of orange light. Jeez, this is a long drive. It's gotta be like at least 8 hours. Cove informed you that there wasn't too much longer left to go. You were almost there. When night... God, and just the radio? I would hate that. I need something a little bit more engaging. When night eventually fell in a blanket of darkness, the drive finally came to an end. Cove pulled into the parking lot of Kyra's apartment building, the glow of the car lights disappearing as he turned off the engine and let out a heavy sigh. We made it. We're here. The two of you exchanged tired smiles, having successfully and safely completed one half of the trip. Oh, do you mean... Oh yeah, you mean back. I was confused for a second. You were relieved to have actually arrived and eager to get out of the car and stretch your legs. You took the stairs up to the building together. After a knock, you were abruptly met by a flash of green hair as Kyra opened the door and immediately took her son in her arms. Oh my god, now I gotta remember her voice. Oh no, that accent was so bad. Oh, she's so cute. Look at the hair. Oh my god. Oh my god. Cute apartment. Yeah, not bad. Like, nice little kitchenette. Interesting painting. Flowers and... Okay, cool. I can get behind it. Oh, wait, no. Heck, I clicked too soon, didn't I? Oh, there he is, my gigantic baby boy. That's close enough, I guess. She squeezed him for a moment, then pulled back so she could examine his face. Are you even taller than the last time I saw you? Cove gave you a look and rolled his eyes amusedly as she patted the tops of his shoulders proudly. You say that every time I'm here. It doesn't even make sense right now. My last visit wasn't that long ago. Kyra simply laughed before letting him go and ushering the two of you into her apartment. Then she turned to you, a wide grin pulling at her lips. Patch, it's so nice you came along with. And as a bonus, you've both arrived in one piece. It's good to see you too, Kyra. It's been too long. Kyra beamed at you both, and while you would have loved nothing more than to settle down and rest after the drive, you could see she wasn't going to let you go that easily. So, how was the trip? I admit I was just a pinch worried. We barely made it. I appreciate your concern, but it was alright. You felt the fussing wasn't necessary. I appreciate your concern, but it was alright. We made it without a scratch. Kyra clapped her hands together, the bracelets around her wrists jingling. I'm so proud! I can hardly believe how mature you both are. Where did all those smarts come from? Cove ran a hand over his hair with an awkward chuckle. I don't know, maybe I got some from my parents? His mum looked up at him deeply, her eyes glistening as she shook the sentimentality off with the wave of her hand. You have to be half asleep already, huh? I don't want to keep you up much longer. Early morning and any woozies? What? What does that mean? How do you want to deal with the sleeping arrangements? I've only got my own room and Cove's, though the living room couch isn't bad. Patch can use my bed. I'll just sleep on the floor in the room. It doesn't matter for one night. Kyra laughed out loud, startling you both. You raised an eyebrow at her outburst, giving her a quizzical look. Oh yeah, you'll just stay on the floor. You can handle that much back when you were 13, with both your parents in the room. Haha, fucker. Cove blushed a dark red and gaped, completely unprepared for her to pull out that embarrassing moment from the past. Mom. You blushed, you laughed it off. He's had a long day. It's cruel to tease the poor boy so late, even if it's true. Yeah, she's right. That's totally what you do. You're annoyed. She knows he's sensitive. It was uncalled for. You put a hand on Coach. She's just teasing. I think it's fine. I'll just laugh. Yeah. Thankfully, the tension in the air dissipated as Kyra and Cove chuckled along with you. It'd be nice to be in the same room, but I don't want to take his bed, so I'll take the floor. Cove shook his head, dismissing the idea immediately. You're the guest. Fine. I don't want to argue about it, and I know he'll be fine with it, so fine, I'll have the bed. Thank you for offering. So, would you be okay with me sleeping on the floor in the room? I'd rather be there than out in the open in the living room, even if there is a couch. Yeah, you can sleep there. Totally. Kyra giggled softly, drawing your attention back to her. All funny stuff aside, you need to get some sleep for tomorrow. Seems like you're setting yourselves up not to get any. I know that sounds really... captious? Captious? Is that a word? Have I just never seen that word written down before? What is that?
Captious.
It is captious. I've never heard that word before. Captious, tending to find fault or raise petty objections. There we go. I know that sounds really captious, but I'm a mom. I have to say these things. Come on, we're not little kids having a sleepover. We're responsible adults. Right, Patch? We are children. Yes, very responsible. No, we're not. Well, I am. Cove, though. Cove is, though I can't quite say the same for myself. You simply smiled at him. Oh, maybe we should sleep in the living room after all. Yes, very responsible. Wait, what was the... We're responsible... No, we're not. I'm not even going to say we're not. Cove cleared his throat and gave you a look that had you biting down your lip, trying to hide your smile. I'll leave it at that then, just for now. But remember that the walls are thin in this apartment. If you can't settle down and sleep, I might have to separate you. She's just having fun. It's okay. You grumpy little shit. Oh, we'll be good. Perfect. Kyra clasped her hands together, her bracelets softly tinkling against each other again. It's only getting later, so I better let you prepare for bed. She nodded towards the hallway and gave you a small smile. I'll play hostess for a sec and show you where the bathroom is first, Patch, and where you'll be staying the night. Thank you. You hoisted your travel bag back over your shoulder and followed behind Kyra and down the hallway. Cove shuffled along behind you, disappearing into the bedroom while his mum had you go to the restroom. The apartment was small but nicely decorated in soft, cool colours, with plenty of artwork hanging on the walls to give it character. It was stylish and exactly what you would have expected from someone like Kyra. Oh, sweet! It's a cute little room. Kind of a weird spot for that vanity. I don't think a chair could fit in there, but okay, fair enough. After being shown the bathroom and wishing Kyra good night, you headed into the room and found Cove already there. Just saying, 2 people could easily fit on that, but, you know. He had changed into his sleepwear for the night as well, and set aside his glasses already. Looking around, you found the bedrooms to look much the same as the rest of the apartment, but with small ocean elements you were sure Cove must have enjoyed when he stayed here. Oh, that's cute. All in all, the room was pretty and clean, though it almost looked more like a hotel guest room than a bedroom. Yeah. Cove only spent a few weeks out of the year there, so it made sense that it wasn't especially lived in. Nice pajamas, dude! What do you think? It's pretty nice, huh? Mum always keeps it clean and everything, even when I'm not here. It's a great room. It seriously looks like a showroom. That's sweet of her. Yeah, that's sweet of her. Yeah, she's good like that. He seemed pleased enough with the response and gave you a small smile before opening the zip on his bag. When you went back to the room, you jumped in bed and under the covers, just as Cove was shuffling into his sleeping bag on the floor. You waited until he was settled in before you flipped off the lights, and a soft glow from outside peeked through the blinds, casting shadows over the floor. You closed your eyes, blocking everything out. Night, Patch. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bedbugs bite. The room grew quiet as the two of you wound down for the night. You found yourself listening to the sounds of the city outside the window. The noise out there was so different to what you were used to back home. Cars zooming past and people out having fun, instead of crashing waves and the ocean winds cocooning your house in their embrace. Cove shifted around in his sleeping bag, making the fabric crinkle loudly. I've outgrown this thing. I should have checked it earlier, but the trip was kind of short notice. Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Cove. You sure you don't want the bed? Why don't we share? It's big enough. Cove inhaled deeply, the fabric of his sleeping bag crinkling loudly as he fidgeted beneath. She gets it, dude. She gets it. I told my mom I was going to stay on the floor. You frowned, wondering when that had ever stopped him before. Did you really plan on going through with that? No. He hesitated a little, the silence stretching between you. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. You knew him well. The sleeping bag rustled again, and through the dim light you saw him stand and head towards the bed. Hey, bud. He took in a deep breath as he ran his hands across the top of the blanket, gathering his nerves as his eyes met yours. And then he paused, head tilted to the side, as if silently asking permission. Well, what are you waiting for? Oh, you shuffled over to make room for him as he pulled the bedding up and crawled beneath the covers, leaving the two of you close together, but not quite touching. He exhaled a heavy breath as he lay down on his side, his head getting comfy on the pillow next to yours. You smiled softly through the dark, thinking that it felt good to have him so close. You felt better when he was around. He raised his fingers and delicately brushed the tips over your cheeks, drawing a shaky sigh from your lips. His touch was warm and feather-light, making you feel tingly all over. When his eyes met yours again, you found yourself lost in them, the world becoming still and silent around you. Then he froze, his muscles tensing as he closed up like a clam and his breath hitched in his throat. He attempted to whisper something, but it was completely lost on you. You good, dude? Just get stabbed in the back or something? With that having to suffice as a warning, Cove jumped out of bed and crouched down on the floor, his head held in his hands as he took in a few deep, stuttering breaths. You did get stabbed. You bolted upright in bed, staring down at him with a mixture of alarm and bemusement. Are you okay? I thought it'd feel like it. What are you? What are you talking about? Am I having an ace moment here? I should get some kind of like filter for the video when I'm having an ace moment and something is very clearly like sexual or flirty and I'm just not noticing. And then I can have like little like little streamers or something go off when I suddenly realize. Oh, jeez Louise. I thought it'd feel like it did before when we were younger, but it's different now. I'm sorry, Patch. I'm really sorry. I'm just so... What's happening? He panted deeply in and out as though he just finished running an entire marathon. Is this normal? What is happening? After finally steadying his breath to a normal rhythm, he crawled back into his sleeping bag and huddled down on the floor, his back turned to you. Jeez, what? Did I shank him? I'm genuinely so confused. sorry. What's happening? What is it? Did he just get horny or something? Is that what happened? I super don't understand, but I might just say I do. You were disappointed. It's fine. He needs to do what makes him comfortable, and if he wasn't comfortable, that's fine. You were amused. You were not pleased. That's fine. You found it was kind of flattering. What is it? I'm gonna say I understand. 100% don't. Don't know what's going on. He usually needed at least one trial run before he could take that kind of step forward. What does that mean? I have another East friend who's played this game, so I'm really gonna need to ask them for some clarification. Like, did you understand what this meant? He usually needed at least one trial run before he could take that kind of step forward. Okay, so it's the step forward, sharing a bed. It's the step forward, fully sleeping together. And by trial run, do you mean for the former sleeping on top of the blankets, or for the latter, do you mean just like... What is a trial run? It's like cool. Yeah, most people would start kissing first. I think that's, yeah, I think. But if you mean like just if by trial run you mean like they've kissed before? I'm just like, what? This is so funny. I can always... Oh my god, no, shut up, dude. Holy shit. That's so freaking me. I'm not surprised that this happened again. So, okay, so the plan was they were like, so they were planning to sleep together. As in sex, I think. But what does a trial run mean then? Thank you for trying. You didn't say anything about it. No, try again another night. Don't make him feel bad if he's not ready. That's a big step. And he said he's demisexual. We need to... It's all about being comfortable and stuff. It's not fun if people aren't like enthusiastically and excited about it. You don't want people to be uncomfortable or nervous. That sucks. No, so fuck off. Thank you for trying. That's kind of, it felt kind of, you don't need to apologize. Did he say sorry? Sorry. Yeah, no, you don't need to apologize, bud. You're fine. I just want you to be happy. You don't need to apologize. He made a small noise, acknowledging that he had heard you, but said no more. With the event over, you laid back down in bed alone for this night. Cool. When I invited him to share the bed with me, I genuinely just meant so he didn't need to sleep on the floor. I'm such a dumbass. Jesus Christ. Sometimes I feel like I've got a handle on like understanding like the quote unquote like sexual side of humanity, of society and stuff like that. And then sometimes you just get hit in the face with another realization and it's freaking wild. Being ace is quite a unique journey. Wowza. That was so that was interesting. Fascinating. Oh man, wow. Oh, I'm having so many thoughts right now. This is great. I feel like I'm studying someone. It's like an experiment. Like I'm observing them through glass. It's so, wow, fascinating. I need some water. The next day dawned, bringing with it the sounds of birds chirping happily outside the window. You opened your eyes slowly, letting them adjust to the light as you tried to recall where you were and remembering the unfamiliar sight of Cove's second bedroom. You had woken up on your own. You reached over to turn off the alarm you had set. Cove nudged you awake. I'd probably wake up on my own. The early morning sun filtered through the blinds, telling you it was about time to get out of bed and start getting ready for the day. The sound of Cove shuffling around the room drew your attention, though you weren't surprised. He'd always been a morning person. Sitting up in bed, you let out a yawn and stretched your arms above your head. You felt pretty groggy, felt okay. I have never felt refreshed when I've woken up, so let's live out that dream. You were quite refreshed. There was a lot to do, and you were ready and willing to get into it and get ready for the trip home. Good morning. How did you sleep? Pretty good, thanks. You? Yeah, it was fine. You pulled yourself out of bed, grabbing a fresh change of clothes and your toiletries before heading to the bathroom. After all that, you met Cove back in his room. He was sitting on the floor when you entered, sorting through a bunch of stuff in a box, determining what to bring and what to leave behind. Hey. Hey, can you pull out the stuff in those drawers? You nodded, though he hadn't even looked up from his task, so you knew he wouldn't have seen. Heading over to seen what? Wait, what? Did I miss something there? You knew he wouldn't have seen what? Heading over to his drawers, you started the task of taking out various items and setting them on the ground in front of Cove. After a while, it became clear to you that Cove was acting strange whenever you went near him. He was flinching over your presence. Oh, buddy. Buddy, it's okay. If you're not comfortable with that kind of stuff, that's okay. We don't need to do it. It's fine. It's fine. It happened a few more times, but you couldn't take the awkwardness any longer. You dropped the stuff you were holding down in front of him and raised a questioning eyebrow. Is everything okay? Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry about last night. Again. He quietly squeaked the second part of his thought. About not staying in bed with you. I know you try not to mind or be mad at me, but I wish I didn't have to make you accept me backtracking all the time. This is really interesting because usually I think this would be me in this position. I've never been in a relationship, so I haven't actually explored this with another person. But that anxiety of feeling like you're denying your partner something is really scary. If you worry that they start to like resent you, or that they're expecting something from you that you feel incapable of giving them, and it's a tough thing to navigate. He swallowed thickly, struggling to find the right words to explain himself. I do think it felt nice. Really. It's just also not bad, but good in an inconvenient way. Cool. I didn't understand that. Laying together like that, being so close, it's too hot, you know? His cheeks flushed with color and he immediately trailed off, his eyes firmly fixed on the door. I get it. You'll stay the whole night next time, right? No pressure. If he doesn't feel like it, he doesn't have to. It was that intense for you, huh? Maybe I'm the one who should apologize. I'm sorry to bother you. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's what I signed up for. Do better next time? Are you kidding me? Oh my god! He nodded in acceptance. Wait, I want to see the exact phrasing of what he said. I get it. You'll stay the whole time. I don't want to put that pressure on him. Definitely not on this one. Do better next time. Jesus Christ. Maybe just a nod would be fine. I'm sorry to bother you. No, that feels kind of dismissive. It was that intense for you, huh? Maybe I'm the one who should be it sounds a bit sarcastic or jokey, but also I think even just the step of acknowledging that this is a relationship, that like I am understanding his struggle in this situation. I'll give this one a go. Actually, I'm going to save. His eyes widened, a pink tinge creeping onto his cheeks before he could duck his head enough to hide it. Just don't worry about it. You don't need to do anything. Let's get back to packing. With a more or less resolved, you went to I guess that was fine. I think we should have a proper conversation, but I felt like none of those prompts would kind of lead to that, unfortunately. You went to grab some more items as Cove focused on the box in front of him once again. Oh, that's so tough. You just need to talk about it, guys. It'll be okay. Oh, hey, look at this. When you turned towards the sound of Ko's voice, you found him digging through one of the drawers beneath the bed. There's something I definitely need to bring. Neat. Craning your head, you got a better glimpse of what he was holding. A small stack of papers. You immediately recognized the handwriting as your own. Those were letters you had sent him when he was away. Oh, he kept them the whole time. You don't have to hold on to those forever. I was only lending you those. I think I'll take them back now, you joked. It's adorable that you care so much for them. You started to feel emotional. Of course you should take them. It's adorable that you care so much for them. He sighed, glancing between you and the items in his hands. They bring back some good memories. A faint blush of color crept over his cheeks, and he looked away quickly. These are special. It was important, having a piece of you with me when we were apart. Oh, I feel the same way. That's why I gave them to you. Cove smiled, pleased that the feeling was mutual, but then the expression became more amused. And did you keep the souvenirs I brought back? Of course I did. His grin grew to completion. Thanks. Another hour passed by in silence, and you were happy to see you were making great progress with Cove's room, with only the closet left to sort through. You took a minute to take a mouthful of water from your bottle and perched on the edge of the bed, feeling productive. Cove glanced over at you and paused, putting down the tape gun he had been using to seal up his boxes. You raised an eyebrow. You know, it's really strange to see you sitting in this room. Why? He frowned a little, his eyes distant and his voice quiet when he spoke next. During the visits to Mum's, when I was sitting alone in this room, I'd sometimes think about how you weren't here. It was a weird feeling at the time that you just weren't around, and now that you are here in this exact place, I don't know how to explain the feeling. He shrugged it off and smiled a little, as though he'd said enough already and didn't want to risk sounding silly. Life is pretty confusing, is all. I didn't know you thought about me when you were away. Oh, of course he does. It's true, life makes no sense. I missed you so much when you were gone. You smiled at him. Yeah, I missed him. His brows crinkled as he looked at you solemnly, his eyes bright with emotion. I missed you too. All the time. It made you feel better to know that somehow, to know that when you were stuck at home missing his company, that he was missing yours too. He looked away, satisfied, heading over to the closet and the last of the items to be sorted. Before long, every box, closet and drawer had been thoroughly combed through, with the items either neatly packed up in boxes or organized and returned to their proper place. With a sigh of relief, you glanced around the bedroom and the work you had done together. We're done. Good job to us. I'm gonna change out my PJs for the drive. Yeah. When the two of you headed out into the living room, ready to get everything finalized and hit the road, you found Kyra in the kitchen, pouring a cup of tea. Cove headed towards her, leaning casually against the counter that divided the two spaces. Hey, you didn't have to get up so early. Are you crazy? Of course I have to see you off before you go. You can't sneak away while I'm out cold. She beamed at him, and in all honesty seemed more than happy to be up and getting ready for the day. Oh, do you want some breakfast? I've got some muesli or eggs and toast. Oh, and some of that fruity cereal you used to love. That's okay, we should really eat on the road. Kyra smiled sadly, a little disappointed, but she seemed to understand that your time was running thin. I thought you might say that. In that case, I packed some snacks for the road. Even if you don't end up eating them, take it anyway, just in case. You can always feed them to Cliff when you get home. And tell him I said hi. Cove laughed and shook his head, knowing his dad would love nothing more than to polish off whatever food Kyra had prepared for you. Thanks, Mum. You really didn't have to. Thanks for the snacks. It's nice of you to organize this for us. It must be a Mum thing to know stuff like that. I'll definitely eat whatever you've packed. You smiled quietly at her. That's nice of you to organize this for us. Not a problem. I just wanted to be sure you'd be properly fed at least. She returned your smile with one of her own before putting her cup of tea aside. Well, I'll help you get the car packed. Sure, thanks. The three of you got a move on, taking the boxes from Cove's bedroom and heading down to fill the back seat of the car until there was barely an inch of space left in the back and trunk. With all of you helping, it only took a couple of trips to move everything, and you were done before you knew it. Then it was truly time to say goodbye. You convened back inside the apartment where Kyra looked over the two of you with a quiet smile. It was great to see you both. Thank you for coming. She gave each of you a hug, and you felt a little sad that you hadn't been able to spend more time with her. It was good to see you too, Mum. Cove embraced her in return, and the two of them holding onto each other for a few seconds longer. I'll miss you, but I'll visit again soon. You better. Hey, we should make plans for you to visit us too. I'll let you know when it's settled. I'd love that. Kyra bundled all the stuff she prepared into a bag and handed them over to you. You took a quiet peek at what she'd packed. There was fruit, nuts, seeds, hard-boiled eggs, and some veggie sticks. Aww. Oh, good to see we've got some fresh food options now. The snacks I brought weren't. Kyra shook her head at him and let out a soft laugh, as though she wouldn't have expected anything else. I seriously hope that you're feeding yourself better than that at home. Yeah, of course, just not on trips. I can live with that then. She looked over him fondly, her eyes at last focusing on his face and filling with emotion. I'm gonna miss you, baby. Me too. Goodbye. Thank you for letting us come. We'll all be together again before you know it. Thank you for letting us come. No problem at all. You're welcome anytime. Kyra put an arm around you both, pulling you in tight to her sides for one final squeeze. Have a safe trip. We will. Oh, pretty sky. With a last goodbye, you exited the apartment, though Cove hesitated for a moment in the door, his expression distant. You weren't sure what he was doing, though you tentatively took a step towards him. Everything okay? Your voice seemed to bring him back to earth, and he shook his head to clear his thoughts, his green hair swaying from side to side. Yeah, let's go. With that, the two of you headed back down to the car, ready to make the long trip home. Soon enough, you were on the wide open road with a car full of Cove's things and only one destination, Sunset Bird, California. I wonder if Sunset Bird's a real place. The drive went as smoothly as could be expected, with the morning slowly creeping into midday as the miles flew by. The day flew by in a whir of open road and sunshine, and before you knew it, it was early afternoon. By that point, you had already crossed the state line. Cove announced that he planned a little stop on the way home. He was quite pleased with himself as you arrived at the precipice. The Redwood National Park. Oh, that's so sweet. Shaded beneath a canopy of enormous redwood trees, you drove along. Oh, here we are again. Wow. When Cove parked the car, you pushed the door to get out, and the first thing you did was look up. Enormous redwood trees surrounded you on all sides, their massive trunks shooting straight up into a canopy of foliage overhead. There were too many of... That's a nice parallel with the episode before, because when we came here before, that was also the time when we were in the camper van and Cove and we and Cove shared a bed, which is paralleled with what happened earlier. That's fun. That's a fun little touch. There were too many of them to count, stretching on and on as far as you could see. You squinted against the sunlight that was peeking through the leaves and dancing on the paths around you. It's great, right? He smiled at you from over the roof of the car before glancing around the place fondly. Remember the trip our families took here that one summer? It was cool going on a journey and seeing the forest in person, even if we didn't stay very long. And I guess we could stay for even less this time, but oh well. It just seemed like a good time to stop by. Who knows when we'll get another chance. His voice got a little softer at the end. It seemed to be bittersweet for him, being in a place that he was so fond of, but not having the time to appreciate it fully. You were pleased to have stopped there. You felt pretty good about being there. Yeah, this is nice. It was a beautiful place to stretch your legs and take in some fresh air. Thanks for bringing me here. There'll be more chances in the future, I promise. It's better than taking a break at a gas station. I'll put up with you for the trees. I'll put up with this place for you. You said nothing. There'll be more chances in the future, I promise. Cove smiled, shoving his hands in his pockets and dipping his head. I'm gonna hold you to that. The two of you walked around for a while, completely dwarfed by the sheer scale of the redwoods. It kind of put your view of yourself and everything in a strange perspective. You took in a lungful of clean forest air, listening to the sounds of birdsong and the cool breeze rustling through the underbrush, taking advantage of the space to move around freely. However you felt about being there, it was totally different. It was a totally different scene than sitting in that old car for hours and hours. You wrapped an arm around Cove. I'll take his hand. He intertwined his fingers through yours, smiling at you as he relaxed into your touch and rubbed the back of your hand softly with his thumb. Being here again, you couldn't help but reminisce on what else had happened during the trip you had taken here all that time ago. There are a lot of things that reminded you of it recently, yes. You looked over at Cove, who seemed to be lost in the peace of the place, and you wondered if any of it crossed his mind. Smiling at the sight, you thought back on what had been the highlight of that long-gone vacation. Oh. You know we spent the night in the loft together. Yep. Elizabeth teased us mercilessly on that trip. Our families were so close. You know we spent the night in the loft together. You managed it then. Oh. God, no. No. You managed it then? Don't call him out like that, jeez Louise. His feelings have, oh my god, shut up, me. I was stupider then, sorry. You had to crack a smile and left the little debacle from last night behind you again. Look, I just want them to talk about it. Just talk about it. Also, I didn't know that answer would be so dismissive. I'm sorry. I'm glad they kind of portrayed it in a more lighthearted way, but yikes. There was barely enough room for the two of us, but it was fun. Cove chuckled and shook his head at the moment. It was memorable, especially when I got caught up there by my parents in the morning. He laughed, and soon enough you were joining him. It had been pretty embarrassing for him at the time, but you were glad he could look back and laugh at it now. You continued chatting about the trip a little while longer, about the things you had seen and done and even eaten. A lot of the memories Cove had of the trip were similar to your own, but you were also surprised to hear of a few other things from his point of view. So much had happened that there was no shortage of things to talk about. The place certainly had a nostalgic quality about it. Your spirits were light as you ambled past information boards and picnic areas. Before long, you decided it was time to bring this short stop to an end and head back to the car to get on the road again. Cove sighed when you finally reached the vehicle, jangling the keys in his hand before unlocking the doors. I wish you didn't have to go, but we're going to be responsible and not stay longer than we should. How grown up of you! He smiled slightly, and with that, the two of you jumped into the car, buckled in, and he put it in drive. You were getting closer and closer to town as the sun started setting, though you were still far enough away that the radio stations were unfamiliar to you. Whoa! This is a different art style to usual. Wild! I like your bracelets, bud. Actually, I've got one just like this one. The black one? Nice. Cove twisted the dial this way and that before stumbling onto a channel with a song he seemed to like. That was a rare gift from the fates in a sea of static, strange radio jockeys and grating tunes. His face immediately brightened at the sound of it, and he drummed his fingers along the bottom of the steering wheel happily. Sitting back in his seat, he bopped his head along in time to the tune. I'll sing along, yeah. Cove raised an eyebrow at your vocalization. Emboldened by you, Cove decided to do a little lip-syncing. Every now and then a part would be stumbled over, and by the end you were both laughing too much to continue. The song ended, and Cove reached over to start cycling through the radio stations again. Upon finding nothing tolerable, he flipped the dial off in defeat and leaned back in his seat with a sigh. You rested your head on your hand and stared out the window as the sky darkened, watching the landscape slowly melt into more familiar views. The miles went on, and any energy you had earlier was beginning to drain away. You imagined home and your family. You'd be there together soon. You know, I've spent all these years living in Sunset Bird and taking a few weeks each summer visiting my mom in that second room. That's not going to happen anymore. Not really. I can still see my parents, but the way it all works between us has changed forever. He paused, the silence stretching. A serious look settled on his face, his thoughts far away. I'm excited to be on the brink of real adulthood. I'm worried about how things will be in the future. I feel the same about my parents too. Should lighten up, jeez Louise. It's tough, because that's certainly something I've struggled with letting go, because I still live at home because I love living with my family very much, and the prospect of moving away is a very difficult one for me. So I very much feel the same way about my parents. But I'm also very excited to kind of have the agency to do my own thing, like work on my own projects and that kind of stuff. So, and I'm worried, but we can empathize right now, I think. I feel the same way about my parents too. I know they'll always be there for me, but we don't really have the same relationship we used to. Cove's mouth pulled into a tight line, and he gave a small nod. You got the feeling that he understood how you felt. Cove stared straight ahead, down the long, long road. The path looked like it would never end from where you were, but that wasn't true. Well, in my experience, and from what I've heard, generally as you're older, your relationship with your parents tends to get better as you kind of understand their struggles and responsibilities more. Eventually, he found a few more words to say. I think it's good we were able to do this trip without any parents or chaperones. It's just us. We did it all. I don't know. I feel a little more independent now. A little more ready for what's ahead. Right. I felt ready for a while now. I'm not sure I'll ever be ready. Yeah, right. It's like a real first step to be on our own all the time. It'll be here before we know it. The topic seemed to wear on Cove, and he made an attempt to find something else to speak on. So I'm kind of sad about getting back. I'm gonna miss having you right there tonight. He cleared his throat quietly, though said nothing more. You smiled to yourself a little at hearing him say something like that out loud. I'm gonna miss it too. And with the feelings confirmed as mutual, the two of you fell into a comfortable silence. The sky outside grew ever darker as the hours passed by, the stars blinking on like tiny fireflies painted onto a canvas of blue. The scenery continued transitioning between open roads, industrial areas, and beach towns, becoming increasingly recognizable as time went on. You felt somewhat disconnected from the world around you, and as you watched it through your window, your tired mind growing hazy. It was strange. It was a strange, reflective feeling, but peaceful nonetheless. Soon enough the world would return to you, and you'd find your feet firmly on the ground. It couldn't be helped. The adventure would end. Life would continue, but your memories would linger on. Whoa. That was quite the episode. Oh, I don't know how to feel about it. It's nice to have some exploration of his demisexuality and recognizing that can be a difficult thing to navigate in a relationship. But also I felt like quite a few of the prompts felt quite dismissive. Like were very quick to kind of scold him or be upset with the fact that he wasn't ready to initiate like a sexual relationship, which I'm not as keen on. I don't know, but then again, I'm also asexual rather than demisexual, though I'm pretty sure that demisexuality technically falls on the spectrum of asexuality, but either way, I'm not demisexual, so I don't necessarily know. I can't exactly speak from experience on that kind of situation, but I don't know. I'm glad to have the representation, but it felt just a little bit off to me. I just very much want them to have a conversation. Like, they've definitely had a conversation about sexuality, and him going, I think I'm Demi, and we were like, cool, yeah, that's all good. But that is a different conversation to how that looks in terms of relationships and setting boundaries and stuff. Like, it feels like neither of them are quite aware with their comfort level in that kind of thing, and they actually need to just sit down like as adults and have a conversation about it. And I think I would have liked to see that, or even, I don't know, just the acknowledgement that that's something that needs to be discussed. It's not necessarily something you just feel. You need to have open communication about these things just to make sure everyone is comfortable and content. But also, maybe I'm reading it a wrong way. So if you've read it differently and you have different thoughts, let me know, because I'm curious to hear it all. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much for hanging out in this chapter with me. A little bit more of a serious one this time, I think. Which is probably not bad moving into the end of it. And yes, our next episode will likely be wrapping up. Woof, that's wild. This one's been going on for a while now. This is like episode 17 or something. Jeez Louise. Whew. There we go. Well, I'm gonna go make myself some lunch and do some drawing. I've been drawing a lot lately. Hey, and I've been working on a cosplay because I'm going to a Ren fair. So if you want to see any of my cosplays, because I've just recently been getting back into that, if you want to see any of my digital drawings, feel free to check out my Instagram, which is in the description. I hope you've all had a good time, because this has been lovely. And I'll see you all in the next one. Oh my gosh. Have a good day. Bye.